Hello, today I will be discussing educational technology and the value of gaming in education. When integrated appropriately, gaming can support student learning in several ways. It is important for educators to evaluate the technology appropriately. In this way, the educator must understand the value of play on child development without compromising academic integrity of student work. Gaming has the ability to bridge the gap between work and play in certain areas. If we take a look here, gaming is often fun while allowing for high exploration with low risk, meeting fundamental concepts associated with play. Gaming also retains defined boundaries and is often outcome-oriented, like work. Today, I will be evaluating an educational game which meets this criteria. I will be looking at the game Lure of the Labyrinth and examine how it allows for play in the classroom without compromising academic integrity. The game was developed by Scott Osterwheel at MIT. It is a computer game designed for pre-algebra students in grades 6 to 8. The game allows students to practice and apply mathematical concepts taught in the classroom. When utilizing gaming in the classroom, educators should look for games which support cognitive and social skills, developed through play as well as work. Lure of the Labyrinth allows students to deepen their understanding of portions, fractions and ratios, variables and equations, and number operations in a fun, engaging way, and I will explain how it does that. The game includes many features for students, parents, and educators. Today, I will focus on the customizable profiles for students and administrative options for teachers. The website also offers two methods of play, an engaging narrative and a puzzle mode. I will be discussing the narrative as it is more outcome-oriented, providing exploration with low risk and high feedback and defined boundaries. It is also more fun in my opinion. The game begins with a narrative set up like a graphic novel. The player, or student, discovers their pet has been stolen and must complete a series of mathematical challenges to earn points and coins to recover their pet. The player begins their adventure, engaging in a world of monsters and puzzles. Here I've included a screenshot from the beginning narrative. As you can see, the graphics and colors are quite good. There's also a fair amount of text and dialogue throughout the game, which may really appeal to some students. However, others may find it daunting. As I mentioned, there are different modes for the game. If the teacher only wants the student to practice one concept, they can have the students complete one specific puzzle. However, if time allows, the narrative game allows for more autonomy. The narrative game features a labyrinth, and the labyrinth has 3 distinct content wings, each containing 3 puzzles of varying difficulty. Each puzzle has 3 levels, and students must solve each puzzle 3 times before advancing to the next level. As the student begins the game, they can choose their avatar, as we can see here. They can also choose their pet, as well as the music and comic narration. I really like this, and as I said, there's a lot of dialogue which can be daunting for weaker readers. So there is a comic narration, which is essentially a text-to-speech option. The game also offers students the opportunity to work individually to solve the puzzles or with their classmates, so as a team. Now this team communicates through a message board, and they can work together in the game to complete challenges. To play, the students navigate through the labyrinth to complete challenges. Okay, as you see here, this is great practice using a grid system to promote mapping and spatial awareness. While moving to different challenges, the students they meet different monsters along the way, like this one here. The students can read their biographies, sometimes including interesting and sometimes accurate historical and geographical details. As they complete challenges, they collect coins and points, and they can use their coins to buy goods at the store, and points bring them closer to recovering their pet. Okay, so here we have another image from the game of how they can navigate around on their own. Lastly, as I mentioned, students can work by themselves or with their classmates. A main feature I really like about this game are the features provided to teachers as well. The game is American, so therefore it's aligned with the American curriculum, expectations, but there is a lot of transparency and connections to educational standards and academic skills. The website also provides very detailed lesson plans for teachers, and what I like about them is that the majority of the lesson is designed to be taught in the classroom, and the game is to be used as just only an extension activity. So as the lesson plans and the game were designed together, the gaming activities are a seamless transition to have students practice and apply the skills taught in class. The game also has numerous educational links, frequently asked questions, and most important, an assessment and monitoring tool. As you can see here, teachers can set up their classes, monitor student progress, and identify areas of weakness, and assemble the information into reports. So now I want to look at how a game like Lure of the Labyrinth can add value to the classroom, encourage authentic play, and academic skill. I think that the game helps build a very positive relationship with math by allowing autonomy and engaging the student. Okay. So we can see that children have been identified as gaining a range of benefits from the use of technology, such as technical and operational skills, knowledge and understanding of the world, and subject-specific knowledge in areas such as literacy and mathematics. I took the opportunity to play the game myself, and I found it very interesting that when completing a challenge or a puzzle, the player is not given instructions on how to accomplish the task. I think this way to engage the player makes them a more active participant, and it really builds critical thinking. So for example, learning happens through trial and error, and good educational games invite players to take risks, explore, and problem solve. The students are also motivated to apply concepts in a new way outside of the classroom, which the developers focused on when creating the game. So it must be seen as an activity which is complex, multifaceted, and content dependent. Lastly, from an educator's perspective, I like that the game is designed to assist and monitor understanding. It is also important to be aware of alternative views for gaming in education, so I want to take the time now to address them as we are talking about value in the classroom. In classic and modern views of play, there are aspects which games like Lure of the Labyrinth do not address. Mainly, there is no physicality, so students are not moving around, they're not being active. There can be limited imagination, and there is a risk of students or players taking a passive rather than active role in the game. The Lure of the Labyrinth may not address all areas of play, but there are important ones it does include. The game includes an element of abstract thought. As part of social cultural theory by Botsky, play promotes abstract thought by separating meaning from objects and actions, using actions and objects in symbolic ways. It allows children to reach beyond their actual development in their cognition and self-regulation. Lure of the Labyrinth uses symbols, avatars, and other representations to help students engage in an interesting narrative while solving problems. They exist in a world of monsters and other supernatural objects. By creating the narrative for the student, the game sets boundaries and allows the student to exist in a world where they are the protagonist, solving puzzles beyond their average cognition. Lastly, as I mentioned, Lure of the Labyrinth allows for group work and collaboration. I also want to take a look at critical thinking. Unfortunately, the game does not allow for a lot of imagination or creativity. Instead, it focuses on developing critical thinking and cognition. Like Piaget's cognitive theory, play that takes place in the game consolidates learning that happened in the classroom in a relaxed but engaging atmosphere with minimal risk. Students develop skills and concepts while the game nurtures active participation and promotes problem solving. Lastly, it is important to be aware of the role the student plays regarding technology. Is the student an active participant or passively absorbing information? In Lure of the Labyrinth, they are the protagonist in the narrative, actively solving puzzles. Like Berlin's arousal modulation theory, play should keep the body at an optimal state of arousal while relieving boredom and reducing uncertainty. After playing the game, I believe the interesting characters, dialogue, collaboration piece, and puzzles can keep the player engaged in an active role. As an educator, some improvements I would like to make to the game would include more scaffolding and accommodation in the instructions. As I mentioned, when a student or player begins a puzzle, there is no opportunity to read the instructions on how to play or receive hints or anything. I would like the ability to add that for certain students to help scaffold that learning if it's needed. I would also like the ability to create teacher challenges, so whether it's assigning something for homework, so that students are practicing this at home. Lastly, I did mention that it did have sort of a text-to-speech option, but I think including the highlighting features for students to follow along would be very beneficial. In conclusion, Lore of the Labyrinth is a valuable tool to facilitate functional play, contributing to cognitive development. Piaget saw functional play as an important mode in which a child constructs new knowledge with him or herself through active exploration with the environment and the association with one's own past experience. He's also valued the role of social play in the child's social and emotional development. Lure of the Labyrinth includes numerous features which allow for active exploration, skill development, and collaboration while providing rewards, suitable boundaries, feedback, and fun. Thank you for listening.